I'm your host, Raphael Moran, and this is the Geeky Dad, and I'm here with
Ariana and Rayon, and we're the Multiverse Kids.
Yeah, this episode is all about the 80s. It's an 80s Christmas episode, and the 80s was a very strange time compared to today. Kids actually played outside and got hurt. Bullies used to beat up all the kids and didn't have to worry about the teachers yelling at them, parents yelling at them.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy.
That was the weirdest, and I'm scared.
Yeah. It was a crazy time, We didn't have every kid with a phone in their hand or iPads or technology all over the place. No streaming. No. No computers,
But was there any games?
Yes, there was Nintendo.
Switch?
No Switches.
DS?
No.
Wii?
No.
Xbox?
No, definitely no Xbox at all. Okay?
What's a Nintendo without any of those stuff?
Yeah, well,
exactly.
In the 80s, Nintendo was 8-bit. They were like little pixels.
Pixels? I hate pixels.
Little square thingies.
I know what pixels are.
Yeah. It's not like as realistic as it is today. And guess what? In the 80s, kids could watch anything. Most of us all watch R-rated movies.
What?
Yeah.
Daddy, you were born in the 80s. What R-rated movies did you watch?
I watched all the R-rated movies.
Yeah. If I was in the 80s, I wouldn't do that.
We used to watch movies with curses, people's head getting cut off and,
Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Boobies. We used to
What?
Yeah, all of that stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is offensive, Daddy.
I know. Well, that's how it was.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. That's how it was in the 80s.
Yeah. Red, would you do that? No.
Yeah,
How would let you do that?
See, today,
How would I do that?
today,
You're a weirdo.
Today, I think parents are a lot more better with their kids. They can control what they watch better,
Also, they didn't wear helmets for some random reason.
Yeah, well, we didn't wear helmets. What the hell? Who wears helmets?
Me?
Yeah, you guys do because we love you. But I guess the parents in the 80s didn't love their kids. I don't know.
Grandpa and Grandma didn't love you?
I have no idea. It doesn't seem like it. Yeah.
What's up?
Well, since this is an 80s episode, I wanted to talk about a recent movie that just got released on HBO Max.
8-Bit Christmas.
You didn't let me finish. 8-Bit Christmas.
You already said that.
Yes. It's probably the greatest...
Nintendo movie.
Wait till I finish.
An 8-Bit movie.
Wait till I finish what I'm going to say. It's the greatest Nintendo movie set in the 80s since The Wizard.
What's The Wizard?
Yeah, you guys from the 80s, you know what I'm talking about, The Wizard.
But what's The Wizard?
It's a movie from very long ago.
I'm scared of wizards.
It's about a little kid who is like the whole movie is like a commercial for Nintendo, just like this movie was.
What's up?
But it's not as good as this movie. That movie was lame. In the whole movie, it's about one kid
Playing Nintendo?
who is like, he's kind of like, he has autism a little bit, I think. And he's like the greatest video game player in the world. And they have this big competition on who's going to play the new Mario Brothers game. And that's the whole movie. So, and in that movie, they talk about the Power Glove. Just like this movie.
The Power Glove doesn't even work.
Yeah, well, that movie didn't tell you that. Because of that movie, everybody bought the Power Glove. They didn't know the real truth. Yeah. So let's talk about this movie, 8-Bit Christmas. It's set in the late 80s.
I wanted a Nintendo. Me too.
You
Did you blow on it?
Yeah, you have to blow on the Nintendo to
CD.
make it. It's not a CD. It's a cartridge.
Huh? What's a cartridge?
It's a big square thing.
What's it?
that you push inside to make it work. Kind of like a VHS.
What's a VHS?
Oh boy.
You gotta teach us a lot.
Again, it's a big square thing you put inside of a larger rectangular thing.
So it's like the larger rectangular thing. Stop. So it's basically like the Nintendo is the Wii, right?
Yeah.
And then so then the CD that you put into the Nintendo is like the thing that you said?
Yeah, but it's not a CD. It's a big, thick thing that you have to blow on to make it work.
What's the thing?
If you don't blow on it, it doesn't work.
It's basically just a Wii, but pixels. Yeah. Okay.
Very low tech compared to today.
It.
Well, you're the one who said you wanted it.
What? I wanted it. I want to play Rampage.
Yeah. Rampage? You want to play Rampage? Okay. So why don't you guys tell me what you remember the plot of the movie was. Go.
He wanted to get a Nintendo because the only person who had it was a rich kid, and he accidentally almost killed his dog.
Yeah.
He did.
And everybody in the whole block wanted to play that Nintendo.
Even the coach.
Yeah. It's crazy.
The plot of the story is that you won't always get what you want.
Yeah.
And you gotta get it and you need to go to a golf course and play stuff to get the money. No.
Well, no.
That's what he said he had to do.
The moral of the story was...
Is that you have to earn your money. You don't ever get what you want. You have to use money. Exactly.
No, you guys totally missed the moral of the story. It's about...
But a boy that is...
No.
To get a Nintendo?
No, it's not. That's not it. Because in the entire movie, he keeps almost getting the Nintendo and losing it.
Yeah.
How many times did he almost get the Nintendo?
Let's count. 1. I think 2.
Don't forget the trunk of the car. There was one there too.
Don't you remember when the car rolled over it? 4. Yeah, that's 4 times.
He was this close, this kid, to get that Nintendo and always lost it.
Okay, so the first time we tried to get the Nintendo, he asked his parents and they both said yes, not even knowing what it is. And then when they found out what it really is, then they said no.
Yeah. What's the second time?
The second time was he went to a stall.
Yeah, you went to a store.
And he saw the Nintendo and he was playing it. Then his sister left.
Yeah.
His sister was about to do.
Yeah, and then what's the next time?
He saw it in the guy's trunk, in some person's trunk.
Yeah.
And then another time, he lost when he was like super close to getting it because the guy got. Stop! Let me say.
He won a contest for selling the most wreaths.
Yeah. But then he found out that he only got was encyclopedias.
Guess what? I got those encyclopedias when I was a kid. Everybody was getting that. Because we didn't have computers, so we had
dictionaries.
No, encyclopedias is like Wikipedia without a computer. You have to look through all these books to get information.
This is the last time. Oh, I'm so glad that we have the internet. This is the last time we...
You're lucky you didn't have to do book reports. I had to get encyclopedias about this and that. Even get some type of idea what to do.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You have to write it? I'm glad I have to do my ones on Google Docs. The last time
and then the last time he lost it was
the truck. No, not the truck. The school bus ran over it because he slipped on the ice, just like in the beginning of the movie when he slipped on the ice.
Yeah, and then
he has gold boots.
And then he it exploded. I don't know how it exploded though.
Like this, boom! And the crazy thing,
and the most gross thing happened in that movie where he picked up his retainer, which was on the floor, and it was filled with nasty stuff on it.
Stop! You're gonna make me throw up. Do it! Throw up! Why would I throw up when this thing's rolling?
Yeah. Well, but again, the moral of the story was, in the end,
get anything.
Was that he did not get the Nintendo, but he did get something better. He got something that his dad made for him, and which was much better than the Nintendo because he got a treehouse. His dad built him a treehouse, and that's the moral of the story because
I don't want a treehouse.
because his dad would end up actually dying, and that's the thing he's gonna remember more than the Nintendo.
And because he still has the Nintendo.
Yeah, he ended up buying the Nintendo much later in life, you know.
In the summer.
In the summer, but yeah, he never got it in the summer. He never got it in the Christmas, but he got a treehouse that he'll always remember. And he had all these great memories with, because he spent time with his friends and his dad.
Wait a minute. He said that he was gonna get a Christmas miracle. He didn't get a Christmas miracle.
Yeah, well.
It was the treehouse.
The treehouse was the miracle.
No, he said the Christmas miracle for a Nintendo.
No, the treehouse was the miracle.
Okay.
Anyhow, yeah. So it's a nice story. What did you guys think? Did you like it?
Thumbs up with my toes. Thumbs up with all of the toes and all of the fingers.
Yeah, you liked all the characters in it.
Especially Boot Man. What?
Did you like the bully?
No, he's too crazy.
Yeah, that guy was.
He reminded me of someone. Let me think.
He was like a monster. That guy.
He reminded me of you. Wait a minute. Why the heck am I thinking of Professor Snape?
He did not look like Professor Snape. You guys are
crazy. The hair did.
Listen, in the 80s, mostly all the guys had long hair.
What?
Yeah.
Even you?
Yes.
What? I can't imagine you with long hair.
Yeah.
You need to show me a picture of that.
No way.
I need to see a picture of it.
No way.
I need to see a picture.
You guys are lucky you were not born in the 80s.
Show
okay?
me.
All right? You probably have more scabs on your knees than you do now.
I don't have scabs on my knees.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You don't.
I do. Oh yeah, Rand definitely does. Mine is just black.
You probably already had you probably already have like broken arms by now.
Broken arm.
Yeah.
I never had a broken arm in my life.
Yeah, well, good thing.
Daddy, what's the hair salons?
What?
What's the hair salons? He's going crazy.
Why are you talking about hair salon?
Well, then you could have cut your hair.
No, that was the style.
Wait. But you keep on saying that, like, the girl style is like a half-shaved head.
No, that's now the girl's style is a half-shaved head.
But I don't want that style.
Also, another style in the 80s was like a mohawk. You like shave the sides, both sides.
You got a mohawk?
Oh, no, I didn't get a mohawk, but that was one of the styles in the 80s.
So
yeah. That's why in Gremlins, you see like Spike had a little like mohawk too. So, that's yeah. I don't know if they do a movie in the set now. I don't know if Spike will still have like mohawk.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
But the new movie's gonna be set in the past.
Yeah.
So there'd be a lot of mohawk. No.
So anyhow, so you guys both liked this movie?
Yeah.
I liked it too. It gave me a lot of flashbacks to the 80s. And,
and they keep on saying it's a real story because the same exact thing happened.
Yeah, a lot of the same things that happened in this movie happened to me. And I'm sure it happened to a lot of kids in the 80s as well.
Are you that kid?
No, I'm not the kid in the movie. But...
And he also said that you were the person who had the only Nintendo on the block.
I did have the first Nintendo on my block, yes. Yes, I was happy for that.
Lucky. But you didn't get the Power Glove because you saw that it was, like, bad.
Yeah, everybody knew the Power Glove was, it looked cool,
rip-off?
but, everybody found out it was a rip-off afterwards, yeah.
So, wait. So then why did they make the Power Glove? So what's the Power Glove really for?
It's just, like, something cool that they thought was going to sell, but it didn't really work properly most of the time. But, yeah.
It would have been cool if it actually worked, right? Then we could control everyone.
I don't think that's what it did. No.
No. In like a fighting game, like
Yeah, but how can you only fight with just a hand? You gotta put a power shoe and then
power sock.
Or a power sock, and then might as well put a whole thing over your whole body.
Power armor.
Yeah, that's kind of like
you can headbutt people.
That's gonna be a little ridiculous, okay? Because you also back then you had to like connect a cord to the Nintendo to make it work. So then what if you're fighting in this power suit and you trip, and the same thing happens in the movie. Like the whole TV falls on you, and you might die.
Yeah. Then the person will die. Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Then
So that so yeah, that's our trip through memory lane in the 80s.
No, you are going through memory lane, not us.
Yeah, you were like a memory in my mind back then. I was thinking about making you in the 80s.
What the?
Yeah, when I was a little kid, I was like, oh, one day I'm gonna have a crazy little boy and a crazy little girl. Yeah.
The crazy little boy. Well, then what about Raiden?
No, he was not in my memory. No.
Is it because
I think that was in your mom's memory.
Or maybe it's because that he came much, much, much later than us.
Yeah. Anyhow, that was our review for 8-Bit Christmas. It's a nice trip back in time to the 80s. And now, speaking of the 80s, we're going to have another guest come in today. And he's going to talk about the Gremlins. And he's going to talk about the Gremlins Museum that he has in his house. This guy is named Ian Grant. And wait till you hear his story. And he's going to talk with us right now. And what better way to celebrate Christmas than with one of probably the best Christmas movies ever made? I'm not talking about Die Hard, okay? I'm talking about Gremlins. And to celebrate that occasion, I have a special guest. He's a fellow Geeky Dad, like myself. You want to introduce yourself, sir?
Sure. This is Ian Grant, and I run Gremlins Museum.
Okay. Your Gremlins Museum. How many Gremlins do you have in this museum, by the way?
I mean, it's kind of an ever-growing thing. I think I'm up around like 5 or 6 now. It just kind of keeps growing and growing, and I don't know. It's getting a little expensive though.
Yeah. And these are actual the props from the movie.
Correct. Yeah, I have one piece from the first Gremlins movie. Those ones are pretty rare. And then from Gremlins 2, I have a animatronic oversized Gizmo. So he was the guy that was used in all the kind of close-up shots in the movie. The kind of smaller Gizmos, they couldn't really do a whole lot of expression. So they made this kind of giant one. And he's kind of like a robot. He's just filled with gears, and he can kind of do all those big expressions. And we have a Vegetable Gremlin, the hero one for that. So, whenever you see Vegetable Gremlin on screen, it's this guy. Mm-hmm. We have a prototype Bat Gremlin. He was made when they first started kind of figuring out what they wanted to do with it for the second movie. They were kind of trying out a bunch of different styles, and his design sort of kept or stayed around. And so he turned into kind of the Bat Gremlin. And finally, we have a Greta Gremlin. She's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. My kids have a couple of questions for you.
Sure.
It's already past their bedtimes, so I pre-recorded it. So let me know if you can hear it, okay?
Yeah.
What's your favorite Gremlins movie? Why do you like it so much? And what's your favorite thing in the museum?
Did you hear it?
Okay, so my favorite movie between the two, is that the question?
Yeah.
It's funny because I think most people enjoy the first movie the most. Lately, though, I think Gremlins 2 is actually kind of my favorite, which is sort of like sacrilege, I know. But I feel like there's a lot more to unpack with Gremlins 2. There's just so much more just wackiness going on. I've gotten to talking with a lot of kind of the original creators. And so I don't know. I think I've done a deeper dive on part 2 than I have on part 1. So I don't know. That might be my favorite right now. It's kind of, I don't know. The way I see it is kind of like, flavors of ice cream. Like you can like both, maybe one day you like one more than the other, So there's that. And the second one was, what's my favorite piece in the museum?
Yeah.
You know, uh, right now it's Vegetable Gremlin because that's kind of the newest piece that I got. I've been wanting this one for like a year and finally convinced this nice guy to sell it to me. And it's sort of a big trip. I flew down to Burbank and picked it up and drove it back up to Seattle. So it's kind of, each piece has its own little story, and that's kind of the newest one. And he's just like a fantastic sculpt. He's Vegetable Gremlin is sort of as far as like into the wackiness that they went. That's kind of like where the threshold was of just crazy gremlin style. It's I kind of like that. Like if you look at the piece, like photos just don't do it justice. There's just so much going on with it. And so I kind of like that.
Okay. My daughter has some questions too.
Sure.
These questions are from my daughter Ariana. She's 9.
Who is your favorite gremlin and who is your least favorite gremlin?
My favorite gremlin, I don't know. Yeah, it's funny. So yeah, I kind of, I like the first Gremlins ones. There's something kind of cool about it. The style is just so it's like, I don't know. I feel like when it came out, they were a lot scarier, but it's kind of as you get older, they get less scary. And it's amazing how much like personality kind of got out of them, and with Stripe and everyone.
So basically, she's saying which particular gremlin, like out of all.
Yeah, so like in the first movie, it's kind of like one style and Stripe, right? So I don't know if I have like a favorite one. It's a tough one. I don't know. I kind of, the reason I put so much effort into getting that Vegetable Gremlin is because he's kind of one of my favorites. So he might be, kind of might be my favorite still. Least favorite Gremlin. These are questions I never really thought about. I don't know. Certain people like Lenny. I'm kind of maybe not as partial. Like if I had a choice of line up the props, maybe that would be the last one I would take. But I kind of like everybody. I don't really have any any ones that I don't like.
Okay. Your kids probably love this museum that you have, but what does your wife think about
it? My wife thinks I'm devoting an exceptional amount of money to it. That's what she thinks. But she's kind of like grown on it. Like I think in the beginning she wasn't quite too sure like what to make of it. So I kind of like fell into this whole thing. And I think like in the beginning she's like, okay, Ian, you're like devoting an exceptional amount of time to this. This is kind of like what we talk about every day. What's going on in the gremlin world, which is kind of goofy, considering I haven't made a movie since 1990, right?
Yeah.
I think she's kind of grown to like it. It's funny. We had an exercise bike delivered last week, and the guys came in. They're like, "Whoa, is that like the Gizmo?" I was like, "It is." And he's like, "Wow, can I take pictures?" And so my wife starts sort of like telling him about it and stuff. And so I was kind of teasing her afterwards because, I think she likes it more than she wants to let on. So, I think she digs it.
You ever thought about doing a traveling exhibition?
A few people have asked me about it. For most gremlin prop collectors that I know, the idea of moving these things around is kind of horrifying. Hence why I drove this, prop from, Burbank to Seattle is like 1,100 miles. And so moving these things around, like they're so fragile. A lot of these pieces, they were designed to work for production, and then they don't care, they're going to fall apart. And so they're very fragile, they're very expensive, they're very big. And so the idea of moving them around and doing a traveling thing sounds like just horrifying to me. So they're also like light, like UV rays are what break them down. They can get moisture on them. It's all these like sort of things of like there's a big responsibility of having these pieces, and so I don't really take that lightly. And so they're staying put, I think.
So you are thinking about doing maybe a permanent installation where people can see it, maybe?
I kind of like if people reach out to me and I know they're kind of like a big Gremlins fan, I'm always happy to kind of show them off. Because I know how I would feel like, the idea of going to see Gremlin props, that's what excites me, And so I'm always game for people, like, if you're in the Seattle area, draw me a line and, I can show them off and stuff. But as far as like a permanent installation, I don't know. I don't know if there's enough interest to warrant like the overhead. So,
Right.
but that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I feel as if we're on a cusp of a big comeback because
I
it's
agree.
probably the last big franchise from the 80s that hasn't come back yet,
Yeah, I'm waiting for them to start kind of exploiting that. And I have a feeling once the new Mogwai show kind of comes out, I have a feeling people are going to be into it. It already got renewed for a second season. And I have a feeling they're kind of testing the waters with that. And if it does well, we're going to see a Gremlins 3 sooner than later because there's too much money to be made.
Yeah.
No question.
I mean, the closest we got was that recent commercial. Did you see that one?
Yeah, the Sprite one was pretty fun. They kind of like been making little like cameos here or there. Like I think people are excited about seeing them. They were in Lego Batman movie. Ready Player One, the Space Jam thing. They're kind of making little cameos, and I think people are excited about seeing them.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were a little kid, what was it about Gremlins that hooked you?
It's funny. You kind of think back to like, what is the first memory I can think of? For me, it was Gremlins, which is like just goofy. So it kind of like set the tone for my life. I remember my dad going out and buying a Betamax player, which, obviously didn't really age well there. But we went out to buy this Betamax player and somebody handed me this little Gremlin kind of play set where you don't really see it anymore, but it's these little like rub-on transfer kind of play sets. So, you could kind of design this winter scene with, Billy running down the street and Gremlins just destroying everything. And I don't know why this is like the first memory I have, but it kind of sticks out like really distinctly. And, growing up, the first Gremlins movie, horrified me. Like I would see it with my dad and stuff. I remember seeing the drive-through too. And there's this other weird memory I have when I was really young where I had just seen Gremlins. It was clearly the source of most of my nightmares when I was a kid. And I went to a swimming lesson and I had this giant slash across my chest. And I was convinced, this was after a nightmare that night. And I was convinced, a gremlin had like crawled out from under the bed and slashed me, Like those movies were scarier back then. Not anymore, maybe, but like back then I was really scary.
Well, I showed my daughter and she was very scared to see it because, she could not stand like all that slime and, the way those little gremlins looked. But, I mean, she loved Gizmo, of course. Everybody loves Gizmo, but she cannot handle the creepiness of those things.
Yeah, I've got a 10-year-old and she's obsessed with the movies. Like she could watch them every day if my wife could put up with it. But she doesn't really like any of that other kind of 80s horror stuff.
Right.
She Aliens was one of my favorite movies growing up, and she just saw it for the first time. She's 10 now, and she was just like, the idea of seeing these aliens was just like nightmare inducing for her. But yet Gremlins was like, she's cracking up, reciting dialogue, the whole shebang, So
one of my fears of what if they're doing a sequel is, everything's going to be CGI, and I don't know, it's just me, but I kind of dig all of the 80s puppet special effects, even from, other movies as well, in the 80s. They just, I don't know, they just look more real to me,
There's something kind of like really interesting about it, kind of like something that actually exists. Like you can see some of those little, those are actually some Gremlins replicas behind me. But there's something kind of just really interesting about seeing something that actually exists and you can walk up to it and, walk around it and see all the details. And, like for Gremlins 1 and 2, Gremlins 2 in particular, these were some of the best artists in the world working on these pieces. Like these weren't like slouches by any means.
Yeah.
And, like the same guy that designed Predator worked on Gizmo, so all these like iconic pieces, is like the best in the biz. We're working on this, and so you walk up to him and you're like, whoa, this is surprising. This is way cooler than I expected it to be. So that's kind of the draw for me.
Mm-hmm. And people can go to gremlins.com, but you spell it GREMLNS.
Correct. Skirting that trademark there.
Yeah. But remember, don't spell out Gremlins. Spell it out like how I said it. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna leave a link. I'm gonna leave a link on the description, and you can check it out.
Yeah. So far, Warner Brothers hasn't complained. I think I'm getting free press.
By the way, have you met any of the actors or anybody in production from the movie?
As far as meeting them in person, not really that I could think of. I started kind of like this weird little like letter writing project where I've all like kind of the original Gremlins 1 and 2 trading cards, and I've been writing to like cast and crew and saying, hey, can you sign my card for me? I've been trying to like sort of tailor it to, Tom Hester, he designed Daffy, right? So I'll send him a Daffy card. And so it's really interesting. Like I've been getting like full on letters back from some of these people. Like John Louis, who he was Mr. Wing's grandkid. He was a little tough to track down, but turns out he's like a Warner Brothers exec now. And it's really funny because I was down picking up Vegetable Gremlin, and I get this email saying, it's a normal UPS, email saying, hey, package is coming to you. And it says it's from Warner Brothers. I'm like, oh man, here comes the cease and desist, And so, but, then it arrived, and it was like John Louis had sent me this whole like Gremlins swag box. It was like it's a giant box. He just sent it just filled with Gremlin stuff. And it's just like so goofy. I'm like, what world am I living in right now? Like this is such a weird thing that like, I don't know. It's just all these people are just so generous and excited that people still care that someone is interested in something they did 30, 40 years ago. I mean, I guess I would be.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you feel about those other 80s like knockoffs?
Like Ghoulies, Critters, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're fun. Like Critters is kind of cool. It's funny that we got more Critters and Ghoulies movies than we did Gremlins movies.
Yeah. That was so weird. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of kind of like little rubber monster movies. There's just something so cool about that kind of stuff. Like, are the movies good? Yeah, Critters 1 and 2 are pretty fun. Ghoulies movies, I like the characters. Are the movies good? But I'll watch them.
But if they had done more Gremlins movie, we'd probably be seeing like Critters versus Gremlins movies right now.
Like they've kind of exploited everything else from that decade. I'm surprised we haven't seen more Gremlin stuff, honestly. Like I think they actually care about the franchise.
Yeah.
And they're afraid of kind of, messing it up. Gremlins 1's always around like that, every Christmas, everyone talks about it. Gremlins 2, I think is starting to have a bit of a resurgence. People are realizing just how wacky it is. I think what sort of got that going was the Key and Peele skit, which if you haven't seen it, oh man, I can watch that every day and just crack up. Where it's like sort of the writer's room of like, all right, everybody gets to name a gremlin, or come up with their own gremlin. And, from what I hear, that's more or less what happened. So, there's something kind of fun. Like Gremlins 2, in my opinion, exists to make fun of Gremlins 1.
Right.
Right. That's what it's for. It's just so absurd. And there's really no other movie like it. And I think people are kind of catching on to that.
And I hope when they do a third one, they set it at a different holiday, maybe Thanksgiving, or what would be a good one? Maybe New Year's.
From what I hear, like they're trying to like it's gonna be another one of those jobs where they probably try to pretend 2 didn't exist. Which whatever. But it would be kind of hard to follow up number 2.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be very much like kind of the Star Wars, the Ghostbusters kind of like, thing where it's just, fan, for them. So,
I mean, maybe the animated series might delve into like the prequel aspects of it and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't heard a peep about it since last October. So it was supposed to come out this year, but it's not looking like that's going to happen. I'm hopeful for it, though. I think a lot of people are curious what kind of Gremlin style they're going to be using, whether it's 1 or 2. Because, if you look at the differences on Gizmo, like between the 1 and 2, like Gizmo in part 1 is kind of grimy. He's not really like, people have this idea in their head of what Gizmo looks like, and it's definitely not part 1 Gizmo. Like Gremlins 2 Gizmo,
he's cuter.
He's super cute, Yeah. Gremlins 1 Gizmo, he's a little grimy and kind of
a little weird looking.
Yeah. It's funny. People in promo stuff mess it up all the time. They'll be promoting Gremlins 1 and showing Gremlins 2 Gizmo, And so if you have this idea in their head of what he looks like, and it's like, you kind of messed that one up, guys.
That's true. My daughter loved the way he looked in part 2 more than part 1.
Yeah. It's funny too. In part 1, like he kind of changes between shots a lot too. They have these like extreme close-up shots on him, and like go from that to the wider shot. It's almost like 2 different ones. But that being said, like Gremlins 1 Gizmo, he's pretty cool. I like him. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I would think they would have learned something from Disney, because look at all that money they're making off of that little baby Yoda. You can throwing away a lot of money with all these Gizmo toys they could be throwing around right now.
Yeah, I think that we're gonna see Warner Brothers kind of we're gonna see a lot of toys and merch coming out of this new series, and like we're seeing with Ghostbusters at the moment. There's just so much money being made with kind of 80s nostalgia stuff. Like little kids love it, the adults love it. So, it'd be a cash cow if they came out of the Gremlins 3.
So, besides Gremlins, what are you geeking out on currently?
What am I geeking out on? It's kind of funny. I go through these phases where I'm just kind of like tunnel vision. And right now that's kind of what it is with Gremlin stuff. That's kind of like my thing right now. It's just kind of what I think about, trying to, I talk with a lot of like those old kind of creators guys. I talk with Gremlins prop, kind of nerds like me, just Gremlin fans. It's kind of like my kind of, sort of calling right now. I don't know. So I'm just putting just like a lot of effort into it. It's been going on for a little over a year now, and just sort of, I don't know if there isn't much else that I'm really kind of nerding out over right at the moment.
Okay, so how does this affect you as a father? Do you think you have any influence on that?
Oh yeah, totally. Lily's my little 10-year-old, and I think she really kind of enjoys sort of like following my lead on this. Lily and I are kind of like little twins. Like my wife literally went into labor on my 30th birthday, and so so she's kind of been attached to my hips since she was a little kid, since she was a little baby, so like about a month ago, Lily and I kind of did a whole trip just centered around going to see people's Gremlin prop collections,
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of fun. And then like when I was a kid, like I used to remember, like I used to write to like baseball players and send them pictures to sign autographs and stuff like that. And so I've been kind of like, getting her involved with kind of writing to a lot of these people, and like, sort of the significance of, okay, we're going to write to, Norman Cabrera. Okay, he's the guy who sculpted Vegetable Gremlin. So, and then kind of every day, let's see what shows up in the mailbox. So, kind of I try to involve her as much as I can. And, she, I think she kind of enjoys it.
Those Gremlins behind you, should they be in cases or should they be out in the open like that?
These guys are replicas by a guy named Sasha Feiner. He lives over in Belgium. And that's kind of what first started. That was kind of like the warm up to buying actual props.
So those are not the real ones. Okay.
No, those are replicas. So this guy is, he makes just like unbelievable stuff. He has his Gremlins 1 mold down. He's got his Gremlin 2 ones, like he can do all the characters. He he has a giant spider gremlin hanging from the ceiling of his office, so
Wow.
I try to keep him in business as much as I can, and in turn, I 3D scan my props and stuff, and he likes to kind of tinker with them and stuff like that. And so I think we found a good kind of mutual relationship there.
Yeah. What if tomorrow someone from Hollywood asks you, can we get you to do some like story advice for the next movie? What would you say?
I don't know. I'm more of kind of like a collector than I am like a creator. Like there's certain people, like it's a guy named Brian Best who he did the Gizmo up there, and this guy is just like next level talent. He's over in the UK, and he works on big Star Wars productions just as his day job.
Right.
And so he has the Gremlin passion as kind of a creator. Like he just did one of the Cocoons, and he does everything just so freaking screen accurate. It's ridiculous. Like you hold it, and it's in some ways it's almost better than the prop, because the props at this point, like the Gizmo props, like they're all just kind of a mess and falling apart. And so what he's creating in a lot of ways is like kind of almost better because it's stable and it's not going to fall apart. And it's the same thing with Sasha's pieces. Like those things aren't as light sensitive and they're not falling apart, and I can kind of display them without a case. So I guess in regards to your question, I'm kind of more of like the collecting mindset and like networking with people and that kind of a thing. I'm less of kind of like, what would I do in Gremlins 3? I'm like, I'd show up and enjoy it. That's, like,
Okay.
I don't think I'd be part of like the story process, maybe.
That's fine. What age do you think is appropriate for like to show a kid the first movie?
Like, I don't know, grade school age. It's really not as scary as it used to be. And especially if you go into it kind of like appreciating the humor of it. And I think when I watch even Gremlins 1 now, like it's more about the humor than it is about kind of the scares. And I think any kid nowadays that watches, anything remotely modern isn't necessarily going to be as scared about it. Like it has a couple little jumps, here and there, but I think it's more like a modern kid sees it more as the humor than the horror.
One thing I had to explain was like to my little son. It was like, why is the gremlin taking off his coat and flashing?
Yeah, like
that was the only thing I had to explain.
There's kind of a few sort of like, there's kind of a few like sort of,
and I think that flashing gremlin shows up in the second one as well.
Yeah, he's in both of them. There's a few kind of like just fun stuff that like if your kids like the movie, there's like some good deleted scenes and stuff, and so I don't know, my daughter loves just all the dialogue, just kind of reciting it back and stuff like that. Like I don't know, there's something for everybody.
Yeah. Well, hopefully next year we can talk about more things about Gremlins. So I think that's when they're planning to release the new cartoon, right?
From what I hear, it's all kind of rumors at this point. They've literally only released like a single image, as promo, and like kind of a semblance of a poster. But we kind of know who the cast is going to be, and we know they got it renewed for season 2. But
it's supposed to focus on the younger version of the Asian.
Yeah, Mr. Wing. Yeah, it's supposed to be sort of like a prequel set in China. We'll have to see what Gremlin design they use. Gremlin 1 and Gremlin 2 designs are very different, and I think it's going to be probably more Chris Wallace Gremlins 1 design personally.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and my kids are looking forward to it. I'm sure your kids are looking forward to it as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're all we're waiting for it. We kind of just sort of, any new thing that comes out is exciting for us. just the other day I was watching that original Nintendo Gremlins 2 commercial. And I remember seeing that when it came out. I saw it once on TV, like live, and it was like the greatest moment of that year. And you can now go see all those little stupid things on YouTube. It's like, whoa, I was praying this would air again, but it came on once, So it's kind of, you sort of just, for a movie that's both movies that are so old at this point now, you kind of just, you're looking for any new tidbits you can.
Any kids from your daughter's school want to come see the collection?
I don't think like most people probably care like at this point from her school. I get like little notes on Instagram from people. One guy was like, hey, I'm gonna be in the US, on my honeymoon. Can we stop by? I was like, sure, man. Like if your wife's okay with that, but I'm happy to show this stuff off because I know how important it would be for me to see it, and I know like right now, I'm kind of traveling around seeing people's gremlin collections, and that's kind of what excites me. And, if I get to share that with other people, it makes me happy. So, it's kind of fun.
Is there one replica that you're dying to get? Not replica, I mean, the real prop.
Like a prop. Yeah. One of the Mohawks would be pretty cool. I came pretty close to being able to get one of those. I kind of at this point I kind of have to be a little bit more choosy about what it is I'm going after because the prices are just getting so absurd. And so like
for me it would be like the bat gremlin.
I have a friend that owns it, and it's so freaking big. I have zero desire to own it.
Just hang that whole thing up on my wall. Amazing.
They made a few different ones of the bat. There's kind of this sort of mechanical one that just has all these mechanisms to make them fly. They made one that's called kind of like a throw around one where it doesn't really have any mechanics necessarily in it. And then there's also a stop motion bat as well. And so most of the shots where he's flying around the city and stuff, that was all done with stop motion. So, but the one that I know of, he's massive, and like you got to devote like a corner of the room to him because, I wouldn't even know how to transport something like that,
Right? Yeah, but it'll look cool though.
Oh yeah, no, I mean he looks amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to knock him. It's very, very impressive. There's a spider out there too, and I know the guy that owns the spider, and it's hanging out in a museum in I believe it's Nevada, and. It's this very cool piece, but again, like, for something like that, you got to devote like an entire room. It's so freaking big.
Yeah.
So I just, I don't have the space for it personally.
Well, anyhow, it was great talking to you, Ian. And I hope you enjoy your Christmas. I mean, do you have like a Christmassy, like Gremlins theme that you do?
Under normal circumstances, yeah, I kind of had like the carolers, kind of like the action figures kind of set up and stuff, and even just those replicas up there right now.
Put like a dummy Santa in your chimney stuck in
there. Seriously, right? Yeah, I don't know. We try to do like kind of a screening of the first Gremlins movie, around this month. It's about maybe twice a year is about what my wife can handle. But I'm always happy to see it. My daughter's happy to see it. So we got to kind of play to the lowest common denominator there.
Okay. Well, tell your kids that tell them happy Merry Christmas and enjoy some more Gremlins fun.
And that was Mr. Ian Grant of the Gremlins Museum. Now you can visit the Gremlins Museum online at www. This is the important part. It's spelled a little different so he doesn't get sued by Warner Brothers here, okay? So it's www.gremlns.com, okay? And you can check out all the cool props, replicas, trading cards, and exhibitions, and the gift shop that he has there. So check out the Gremlins Museum. Okay, and enjoy your Christmas, guys. And by the way, if you haven't already checked out episodes 2 and 3 of our show, you'll see us reviewing Gremlins 1 and 2 in those episodes. So give us a like, subscribe, and enjoy your Christmas, everybody.